With this short presentation, we will explain how we can drive innovation efficiency in the process industry. We will do this based on the development process of shampoo in our shampoo factory using our concept from idea to shelf. In this concept, we will start with the ideation process, where we collect potential ideas on a new product or a change process of an existing product. These ideas can come from customers, from marketing department, but also from some internal colleagues. All these ideas will be screened and ranked, and the selected ideas will be assigned to a program or a project where resources, budgets, planning and milestones will be assigned to. The development of a new product can consist, for example, out of the development or change of packaging, the formulation, some regulatory requirements, the production process, or anything else. In step 2, the formulation department will receive the request to design one or more new formulations, and for the selected formulations to develop the recipe, which represents the process description of this formulation on the level of lab bench, pilot plant, or even production plant. Once a formulation has been produced on small-scale batch level in the lab or in the pilot plant, the product samples will be handed over to the lab to execute some quality tests, and based on that formulation, the recipe and the quality results received from the lab, this new formulated product can be defined and handed over to production for commercial production in step 4, taking into account the formulation and recipe is developed on R&D level. Once produced, these products can be shipped to the customers for consumption. How this process is related to the Siemens PLM solution is presented here. There are 3 main disciplines in the overall Siemens proposal. We have the R&D part, the manufacturing part, and the automation part. All integrated, of course, with different other business applications such as an ERP system. Within the R&D part, we cover all the disciplines related to the R&D activities. This goes from specification management and formulation development to the regulatory evaluation of the product formulations. Also, the involvement of the suppliers to update raw material specifications is part of the process. All projects can be managed in the electronic lab notebook, where R&D data is maintained, and with the process flow modeler, we can design the setup of the production process. Finally, samples will be analyzed in the lab using the lab information management system of the overall R&D solution. Having the regulatory requirements per country on ingredients managed in Discernis and integrated with the R&D layer will speed up the development process and decrease the time to market. Once R&D process is finalized, the selected formulations, recipes, and other information will be transferred into the manufacturing layer for production, execution, and also into the ERP layer for material, supply, and costing. Why do we want to drive innovation efficiency in process industry? Well, because we all want new products. Our habits are changing as a consumer. We always want to have new things. We want to use new products. We want to be healthier. But this also requires from the producers to put more and more products on the market much quicker than in the past, which means that for them, they need innovation, innovation, and innovation in their company, because the competition is very hard. The sooner they can put their new product on the market, the better this will be for them and the better this will be for the brand. Also, we see that more and more regulations are coming up in each of the different countries. This also requires a lot of effort for updating the label, the packaging, and to make sure that the right information is mentioned on the label. So this is what we see as an important trend in the future, and be able, when we develop formulation, to immediately see whether everything is ready for the market we are attacking to is quite important and will help to short speed to market. Well, this is where we come up with our solution. Our overall R&D solution is a flexible, configurable and scalable product development platform for process industry. With an experience of 20 years in the process industry, we are able to commit as a partner with the customer and to commit with our product to fulfill the expectations of the customer. With this, we will be able to increase the speed, compliance, flexibility, and control the overall process development process. This storyboard represents the different steps of the idea to shelf demonstration that will be presented in the Siemens portfolio for formulated products. In this storyboard, marketing will generate or collect all the new ideas and based on that make a selection and define a project brief. Instead of starting from a completely new product, we will in this case start from an existing reference product and do some changes on the formulation level. We'll create a new project. So we go to a new item, which is a business object, and we're going to generate a project brief. We'll give this project brief a name, shampoo, flavor, it's delivered in 2017 and it's project 001. We can give it a description. We're going to generate as product category a new product. It's a medium size and it's the highest priority, so we have to work on it. We're going to start today and we hope, no, not we hope, we will finish by end of this year. So I'll put my due date on the last day of December. And I'm going to create this. So you will see that this new project brief has been created, and this project brief has content. So it has a shampoo flavor revision, and this is the complete content of that project brief. So you have some properties that you can complete. We will complete them later. You can add documents, you can add some deliverables, some business case. So let's fill in some information. So I checked out so that I can edit the data, the content. So my project manager is the list of my project managers, and I will add Paul Preston. I also will define for which regions I'm going to create this new shampoo. So I will select, for example, Germany, I also will add, for example, Italy. Okay. This is one part of the data. This is completed. I can also add some documents. So any kind of document. I can add some key deliverables. So expectations I need to cover. I also have the capability to define some business case. So what is the project objective, for example, is to develop new shampoo, a new shampoo formulation based on new flavor of supplier ABC. What is the project outline? Be first on market with new flavor. Okay, so I can complete all the other information. Good. So I check in this data of this content. So now I have generated a project brief which has all this kind of content. Second step is I'm going to add a new product, so a finished product, because I'm going to start from an existing one to change my formulation. The ID will be generated automatically, and I will give it a name, shampoo flavor 01. So now I created a new object. So this is a finished product, and when I go more in detail, this finished product has also content, is also an object on its own. And also there you see some properties, some information you can complete. There is also a business case. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add an existing finished product reference. So I prepared already an existing one. So I'm going to take a copy of this formulation, and I'm going to add this to my finished product. So my shampoo, and I'm going to paste this. So now I have my reference, which is an existing shampoo, which I'm going to start for the development of my new formulation. Good. The project manager, which owns the project, will initiate the project and allocate resources and follow up the schedule, stage gate schedule. One of those sub-projects in the overall program will be the request of a new formulation to the R&D team. Let's go back to the project brief. Yeah. So now I have completed the information. I have added here. I've completed the information. I have added a new product. I also want to define a new schedule, because I'm going to follow up this process. So I'm going to assign shampoo schedule 01 with an idea, and I'm going to select an existing template. I have predefined several templates, so this is a project follow-up process that I'm going to select, and that will be assigned So now I created a shampoo schedule, which I will copy, and I will link it to the new product I have, or the new project I have prepared. Yeah, I can also start this schedule. So I'm going to send this schedule to the schedule manager, and in the schedule manager, so what we'll see here is that you have different, for the shampoo schedule and the product development, you have different steps: a formulated product, a packaging and artwork, and equipment design. And under each of those, you will have different activities to be executed. So on the formulated product, you have a formulation design, an initiation, a design, some label declaration, regulatory evaluation, and so on. So I can now assign on the formulation initiation, I want to add a responsible person. So I'm going to assign an existing project person. I'm going to look for the resource of Paul Preston, and I'm going to add him to as a responsible person for the formulation initiation. Okay, and now I can start it. I'm going to start my workflow, but first, as mentioned, I need to end my session, my previous session. So I will formulation initiation, I will launch the workflow, and automatically the shampoo schedule will start up, the product development will start up, and also my formulated product. And we will be able to follow all the activities as planned in this overview. When I go back to my project overview, my content, I have generated my schedule, and now I'm going to create a new formulation request. Why? Because when creating that new formulation request, that is the change of a formulation is one of the projects I need to execute. And automatically he has created a new project, which is called shampoo 003016. So whenever the formulator develops new formulations, he can use existing raw materials, do some regulatory assessments, but in some cases he also wants some new materials he can find somewhere on the market. Now, this is the task that comes into the inbox of the formulation responsible person, and he will be required to develop or to find out a new formulation for this shampoo. So automatically the data, the content which we have generated on project brief level will be made available also for the formulator. So the formulator now has the same request ID as has been generated on the project level, and there is an overview of information which has been edited in the project setup. And we had Paul Preston, the start and the end date, we had the project name, we wanted to be the first on the market with a new flavor, we wanted to develop a new shampoo formulation, and we assigned 2 markets. We can also, of course, add additional information. So I can add some documents from an existing location, can be my desktop, can be a folder structure, and I will be able, for example, to add information on the shampoo project. It's an email, I want to show it in the list, and I will be able now to see a list of documents. As an example, I will attach another one, which is, for example, the shampoo process, and I will also put it here. And to finalize, I can also attach, as an example, a picture, and we will show the content of that picture. And now we have an overview of how the shampoo would look like. Okay, and I will save the content. If you want to see the shampoo process, you have the whole detailed view of this shampoo in a PDF format. So all information, all kind of documents can be assigned in the brief document. We have an existing reference product. That existing reference product has also a detailed view. So you have the shampoo itself, which contains a mixed shampoo with the materials, the conditioner with some materials, and an additional raw material also added to the shampoo. And now we're going to create a formulation. And by creating a formulation, there will be a new project defined, because this is the original one, and now we are creating a new one. And that new project will again, and I will put this one here aside. This project, this is now the same project or the same reference product as previously showed, and this is also the reference product that I have assigned in my project overview. So I could now create a copy of this example, and I would paste it. I would give it the name shampoo number 2. And now I could also start playing with some data. For example, what I could do is I could change some values. Why? Because I think that the quantities need to be adopted to make sure that the little bit less water, that we optimize the content of the product, the composition of the product. We can also assign additional materials, so we can add a material. For example, I want to add a kind of oil, and I will get here a list of all the oils that are in my specification environment, and I will add a lemon oil. which is still in development process. So I will add this. And now we will see that the lemon oil is added here in my product. I can also change, if I say no, it's not a lemon oil, I want to change it, you can also remove this. This is a yellow colorant. Maybe I want to replace this or remove this. I can replace this material, and let's see if I have some other colorants. No. So there is no other colorant into it, but I can add another material, maybe on the top level. Is there any flavor? Search, and I'm gonna add a flavor. I have different flavors, so there is a magic flavor I want to add. This is flavor B, and I'm going to add this here, not 1 kilogram, but 3 kilograms. And I'm adding this as a raw material. And I'm going to save now this new formulation. So I have made changes according to the initial one. Yeah, I can also show both in a more visualized way. So you see that you have the previous, the initial one, and you have the new one. And here you have a comparison between both. Okay. For each of those materials, I can also show the formulation details. So when showing the formulation details, you will see for a raw material the ingredients which are relevant for the raw materials. And I can also do the same thing. I can do the same thing for my rolled up formulation details. And also here on the ingredients, you have the total of 100% of all the raw materials on the water level. Good, so now we have our new shampoo here, and we're going to create that specification. We will give this some identifications. So this one is a CPG formula. It has to follow a specific frame. It's of the type is the intermediate product in this example. We will assign it to a workflow, and we will also assign an access group. The base unit of measurement will be kilograms, and I'm going to accept this. So now we have created our specification. What we still need to do is to save the bill of material, so the complete content of this bill of material to that specification. This product can be produced in different plants, so I will assign this to the Brussels plant, and in the Brussels plants I will allocate this formulation, this bill of material, to be able to be produced. So I need to make sure then later on that I have all my raw materials available in my plant. So if we go now to that specification and we're going to show the specification, we will be able to see the real content of that predefined product. So there is I'm using the specifications environment. So this is the botanic shampoo. And if you look to the bill of material, you will see that I have my 4 materials or intermediates that are part of my bill of material. I will define some chemical physical properties. Chemical physical properties meaning I'm going to use dry matter and pH with a target value of both 7, a minimum of 6 for dry matter, a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 8, and for the pH a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 8. and let's take this one. I will save this content, and I will do the same for the microbiological. Also here, there are 2 microorganisms I need to check, and I want to have no contamination, so both will have a range of 0. In the meantime, I'm gonna change that status so that later on this information will also be made available into the laboratory for further analysis. So here we have a complete overview of the botanic shampoo information. The supplier will also be involved in order to update the raw materials. There, the specification manager will request the supplier to complete some information on the requested raw material. So the supplier provides then the raw material data in the specification format and sends this information via a web portal towards the customer. I'm going back to my formulation. I've created now that specification. I have a citrus extract. So the citrus extract, I will look to the specification of this citrus extract, and I want to involve my supplier to change or to update the properties. So from this citrus extract, I'm going to apply the supplier collaboration center. This is the principle to involve also the suppliers in the management of the raw materials. The first thing I need to define is to send out a request for managing the content of the raw material. So I will create a new request. I will ask for citrus extract. I have one here in the development stage, so I will take this one and I will send it out to supplier, and I have a list of my suppliers, supplier A. Okay, I can fill in some additional information, but I will generate that request. Okay, I created a request, so when I go to the next step, I will check the content of this request, and we will see that here on the citrus extract, a new request has been created to be sent. It's a raw material request, has been created and to be sent to the supplier. I will simulate now a service which will send out an email to the supplier, making sure that he will take the responsibility to fulfill and complete this information. So the status was created. I just send out the email. So if I refresh now, you will see that we are waiting for the results of the supplier. So when I am now the supplier, I want to simulate this, and so the supplier logs on his favorite website. He will select, or he will fill in his supplier name and the password. Automatically, he will be guided towards his activities. I'm just going to refresh the requests. Now he will receive the updated information, and today he received 2 requests. If you want to see them, the citrus extract 13108 is the one that has been sent to him. So his job now is to check, in this case, is to check whether the content is right, and he can complete some other additional information. he will see that the citrus extract is composed out of different, so also here he can change them and add this information, and he can also complete if there is some allergic reaction possible. So we will not foresee any allergic reaction. On this example, the formulator will then be able to use this material once that the specification manager has reviewed this raw material and approved this so that it can be used by the R&D team. In this first step, we have involved supplier to update raw materials, and the formulator has made one or more formulations using those materials, and he validates these formulations. As soon as he sees one of those formulations being a potential candidate for a product, so now we will save the content, send the information back to specification manager. This is done. So when closing supplier collaboration, and I will follow again up my process, when I have a refresh of my data, you will see that now from the citrus extract, I received the information from the supplier, and I can have a comparison with the previous one, with the initial one. So with the initial one here, this is what has been sent, and the red colors were obliged fields. They were already completed, and the orange ones have been completed by the supplier. So everything which is in orange is a change according to the initial information. So also here I can close this up, and I can tell specification manager can initiate a validation to accept the data, so that he will be automatically, this information will be uploaded into the specification. So when I'm closing this activity and I will have a refresh, you will see that on the nutritional information, I have here the wrong one. So let's look for the right specification. So citrus extract. This is the one. So you will see that on the nutritional information, this information has been completed. And also on the allergens and the claims, there is no allergen anymore. Okay. We will go to the next step, where the engineer will have the formulator to create a general recipe based on some work instructions, the equipments that we have in place, and the materials which we have collected in the formulation. Good. So now we have checked and we have evaluated that raw material. It is being part of our citrus extract, and so we can continue our steps. The next step is that we are going to generate a recipe. So we have a formulation. So we're going to open our process flow diagram module. That process flow diagram module will be used in order to define a general recipe. We will start from a template because we know how to make a shampoo. So we have a process of a shampoo which is existing. And this existing process contains a main mixer, a pre-mixer, an inline mixer, and also a container. And for each of the equipments, you have different constraints like the mass, the speed, the maximum temperature, viscosity for each of the individual equipment. And also you have instructions. We're going to add over the top, then we're going to mix at a certain speed. We're going to homogenize at a certain speed, then we're going to add this material then over the top. So we have a combination of equipments, the instructions, and also we're going to add some components. So here the components are the bill of materials we are going to add. So we need to add a bill of material and I need to go back to find out the number. It's 003016. So it is 00. And we will find that botanic shampoo with the content. And so we can add, that flavor extract on 3 kilograms. We're gonna assign this. We're not gonna take 3 kilograms now, but we're gonna add 2 kilograms. And now we have that flavor extract added here. And we could say, okay, this is what this material is we're going to add over the top here. And an additional instruction will be to insert an instruction, which is, for example, to check on the viscosity, and we're gonna take 1 sample and we're gonna add this, and the target should be 5. And this will be added here, and we will add this when we have mixed it. And once we mixed it, we will link this to the mixer. And we will save the configuration. And when refreshing our formulation panel, when you refresh this, you will see that this process view is now also available in the formulation. So now the formulator has a combination between the product, the composition, and the recipe, which is the logical flow how to produce this. Once we are creating this batch on a lab scale, we will get some material, we will get some product, and the formulator will request to the lab to take the samples and to do some quality testing in order to make sure that the quality is fine. The next step will be to create trials. And we're going to create 2 trials. When looking to the trials, a trial means in our case that we're going to generate samples. So I have 1 sample where I will do 4 tests. So on the first sample I do dry matter, pH, and 2 microbiological analysis, and on the second sample we do the same thing. So this is now the activity that needs to be done into the lab. So the lab receives those samples with some identification with an analysis plan, and this analysis has to be executed by the lab person. So when I'm logging into the lab, and that lab manager will be able to search for his trials. So when he's looking for his samples, and I'm gonna restrict the values, you will see that this is the sample that has been, or the project that has been requested. And we will find 2 samples, because we generated 2 samples. And if we look to the first sample, we will see the 4 tests: a dry matter, a pH, and 2 microbiological tests. I will complete the results. It will be 6, and I have no contamination. When I'm validating the results, those results will all be accepted. So as well for the 2 on the chemical stuff and 2 on the microbiological stuff. So now if I go back to my overview and I'm going to refresh my request, this data will automatically be available for the first sample, because we only completed the first sample. So I have now a combination of my sample results. I have this together with my general recipe and with my formulation. The formulator will receive the collected results of those samples, and based on the formulation the recipe and the quality of the formulation, he will be able to definitely define this product as a potential candidate for commercialization. If this is the case, we can finalize a specification with the label and allergen declaration, complete the product specification, and put it into the final approval process so that everybody can have the final approval of this new product. When going back now to my specification, because now I have completed most of the tasks, but I would like also to generate a label. So for this material, so for this shampoo, I will, based on the bill of material, which is the bill of material of those 4 components, I will inquire and to execute the ingredient line. The ingredient line is a definition of how to make a label. So in the next step, we will define a rule set which is applicable, and I'm going to automatically run through all those steps. So you will see that he will follow up all these different steps, and at the end he will come with a label, which is a label that can be put on to the packaging. So I'm going to export this to the specification. I'll tell him that he needs to put this into the label declaration on the label level itself. And when finishing it, this information export was successful. So we will see that that label will be made available when I refresh it. This label will be made available here as a text file. I can also put some preparation instructions. This is how to wash your hair. And there is one level, there is that process description, that general recipe that we just have defined. I need to change the status and I need to approve this. Recipe approved. Change status. And in this case, the project manager will be able to finalize and close this project related to the formulation development process. Okay. The next step in our process is to perform a next status change to submit for approval. So I approved the configuration. So now this specification is approved, and the content of the specification, or a part of the content of the specification, I want to share with the project manager. So now that I changed the status of the same specification to the status current, some of the information that we will find back here on one of those different sections will be shared again with the project manager. As an example, some information on the label declaration. This information will be shared with the project manager because he then can share this information also with the packaging team. There are some preparation instructions that I edited, so also this information could be necessary to be put on the package, so also that information will be shared. Remember that we have put some information for the lab on the chemical analysis with some target values. We have done the same thing for the microbiological analysis. Also here we have put some constraints, some maximum values, some ranges. So also this information will be changed. Just to check whether this data is already performed or exchanged with the project manager, here we see a little checkbox. Whenever the exchange has been done with the project manager, we will see here a flag coming up. Here it is. So The exchange has been done. So if we go back now to the project overview, and we see here the shampoo flavor 2016-001, we have the finished product, what we see here, and that finished product has a shampoo. Remember, this is the product itself that we have been creating, and under this product we have generated two formulation requests, number 3018 and number 3016. These are the two specification requests that you see here, 3016, 3018. We have been working on the 3016. So when I'm drilling down to the 3016, we will see that we have different tabs, and the preparation instruction, label declaration, chemical, physical, microbiological information, which is very similar to the content of the specification that we've seen here. And remember, we had some chemical, physical analysis. We had some microbiological analysis. Well, also this information is made available through sharing data with the project level. And so we see here the chemical, physical information. We see also the microbiological information, and also on the other tabs there is some information added to it. So bottom line, we gave feedback of the content of the specification back to the project level, so that in this case we could continue with the overall project, maybe on packaging, maybe on equipment demonstration. End of demo.